So, are gimbals worth the money? It depends. Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is Renee and welcome to my channel where I break down and simplify the most important things that you guys need to know to make your content look more professional. Let's make something. So, gimbals. If I'm being extremely honest, I was actually very anti-gimbal for like the longest time. In fact, it wasn't until recently that I actually liked gimbals. The reason being is because I felt like gimbals were like an instant cheat code that helped you make your footage look extremely professional and smooth and just fantastic and crispy. And you see a lot of people nowadays that are just getting into the camera world, and the very first thing they do after getting themselves a camera is buy a gimbal. Why? Because it looks badass. And because I feel like people assume that if they buy themselves a gimbal that they are immediately able to catch up and start filming like super professional video. Of course, you and I both know that that's the farthest from the truth, but gimbals really do help you reach the next level of filmmaking as long as you're working on mastering your craft first. Well, I eventually caved in and bought myself a gimbal, more specifically the Gimbal S, but that doesn't really matter because all gimbals should relatively do around the same thing. Anyways, I decided to break this bad boy out by taking it on my very first business trip, which was probably not a very good idea since I've never used one before, but it all went really well and the footage I got looked pretty good. I will leave the link to that video in the description box that way you guys can check out what the video footage looked like on the gimbal. But ever since I took that thing on that trip, my opinions on gimbals have definitely changed. So I'll answer the most important questions right off the bat. Are gimbals a necessity? Like, do you need to stop watching this video and go buy one right now? Please don't do that. I need the views. I'm kidding, but you really don't need a gimbal that badly. But are gimbals a piece of equipment that is worth the investment? Yes, as long as you can ensure that you're gonna benefit or profit from that purchase. So basically what a gimbal does is it stabilizes your camera on a 3-axis setup that allows you to basically shoot extremely smooth footage. This is extremely helpful if your camera doesn't have IBIS or any kind of in-body stabilization. So for example, I shoot Canon cameras and Canon cameras do not offer any kind of in-body stabilization. And to top it all off, I have what I like to call earthquake hands, so basically my footage always ends up looking super shaky. Of course, there's other ways to take care of that shaky footage. For example, you can shoot in a fast shutter speed and then slow down the footage in post-production, or you could even use digital stabilization, which my cameras offer, but those two options really limit the quality of your footage. Of course, some cameras, like a lot of these Sony options, offer IBIS, and even some lenses provide image stabilization, but those two options typically mean that you're going to be spending a hefty amount for your camera body or your camera lens. So if you don't have any of those options, then you're kind of out of luck, unless you have a gimbal. There are other alternatives to gimbals such as tripods or Steadicams, but here's the issue. Tripods are stationary, which in turn makes your footage extremely limited to just a single position or multiple single positions. So if you're trying to shoot something that is a little more active or has a lot of motion involved into it, then a tripod isn't going to be the best option. And Steadicams, those are just hard to use. Well, not really, but they do take a lot more effort than a gimbal would. And not to mention that they're usually much larger than gimbals, so carrying it around is going to be a little bit of a hassle. See, my favorite thing about gimbals is that the setup process and getting used to it is extremely easy. Even though I had never used gimbals prior to this business trip, I was actually able to pick it up, and in less than 15 minutes I was using it with little to no issues. Like, literally stabilized the camera, picked it up, and after 15 minutes I was good to go. I also tested these measures by letting my girlfriend slash assistant use it in a real estate shoot that we had a couple days ago. She has very little camera knowledge, but after setting up all the settings for her, she was actually pick it up pretty quickly. Now, the only real issue that I have with gimbals is that they're pretty expensive. I went with a more affordable option and luckily it works really well, but a lot of these gimbals will cost you several $100s if not thousands. So, are gimbals worth the money? Well, that all depends on your needs. Are you willing to spend several $100s? And if so, do you need to spend all that money? I would recommend to see what you can achieve without any of the special equipment. You know, test the waters, master your craft, whatever. And then after, if you feel like a gimbal would make a significant or beneficial addition to your kit, then I would say to just go for it. After owning my own gimbal for about a month or so, I can say that it's one of my favorite pieces of equipment. But again, it took me a super long time to finally get one, and even if I didn't get it, I'd still be able to get pretty good footage without it. So please don't forget that you do not need a gimbal. useful. So don't stop yourself from making content just because you don't have the best equipment out there. Like I always say, the only thing you ever really need to start making content is some type of camera, even if that means your iPhone. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys were able to learn something today. If you guys did learn something, make sure to like the video and leave a comment down below. There's nothing more that I appreciate other than comments, because it's just a lot of fun seeing that these things that I'm teaching are actually teaching people. So yeah, if you guys like this kind of content and want to see more of it, make sure to subscribe and do whatever you guys do down there. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.